Welcome to Mastering CS Candid Leader Insights, the podcast where we dive into the world of customer success with industry leaders. I'm your host, Irina Cismas, and today I'm joined by Oksana Aloshyna, Strategic Customer Success Manager at ShortPoint, a platform that helps organizations build intranets on SharePoint and Microsoft. Oksana, I'm really happy to have you here. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me, Irina. Very glad to be here too. Hi.
You've been at ShortPoint for over 8 years, moving from support into customer experience management and now into a strategic CSM role. Help me understand where you are today. What does your role actually look like right now?
Yeah, it looks like a combination of a lot of things, to be honest. I mainly focus on strategic accounts, on big enterprise accounts, and on accounts that basically have a lot of users. But to be honest, I still have a huge customer base that I answer to daily, who are also small and medium-sized business accounts. We have been establishing those relationships for years before, and I still guide those people in the questions that they have for me and meet with them often. So it's many hats, basically. It's a lot of digging into the usage statistics, into the insights that can be given to me from the different tools that we have, like product monitoring and stuff like that. But also, of course, the main thing, it's meeting with people, talking to people, learning their motivations, learning what drives them, what stops them, what blocks them, and going from there. So mostly meetings.
Okay, so most of your time is spent in, you would say, in customer-facing meetings or internal calibration meetings into understanding the journey of a customer. Where do you spend most of your time on?
I would say right now it would be bringing those accounts that are not super healthy, let's say, back to us, back to being interested in the product. I would say this is my main focus now. I try to proactively determine who is not very much using the product, who is not very much happy, and I reach out to them. I would say what takes a lot of my time is that I'm trying to reach out in a very customized way. So it would be much faster, of course, if I just batch send them some reach out emails, but I found that to be not very effective, especially with people who are already not very active in the product, not very actively responding. So that takes some manual digging and research for me to mention relevant things. I know you built this page last month. How did that go? Or I know you had this problem. How did that go? And I find that these reach outs take the most time. Often also what I include is I try to record small video messages because we use Loom in our company a lot. We like that tool and we use it on a daily basis. So reaching out with videos is also very effective. And basically that's what I'm doing most of my time.
That's super interesting. So basically the personalization in your case works. The video is one type of content that your clients like to engage. What other tools are you leveraging to help you extract the information, to do the prep work?
We have several. We are actively using Mixpanel for product information and seeing how people use the product. We are also looking always at HubSpot and Freshdesk because all of our customer interactions is in Freshdesk and all of our sales and customer success interactions and deals and everything is in HubSpot. I sincerely wish it would be one tool because there's a lot of integration between both. Yeah. But most of the insights I get from these three tools. And of course, I find it very valuable just to talk with other team members. I am very fortunate that both our support team and sales team, everybody customer facing is usually staying in the company for a long time. And sometimes you can learn a lot from the technical tools, but it's best to talk to somebody who knows the client the best. I think this is a great advantage to be able to talk to the team also.
I know that you build the health scoring, the knowledge base, and the journey mapping practice all from scratch. When you are building something like that into an organization? Where do you actually start? How did you start doing? Because a lot of CSMs want to start doing it and they feel overwhelmed because, as you mentioned earlier, there are a lot of tools, there are a lot of data points. There are different ways of taking a look at the data, and the data in some cases tells you the story that you want to hear. So, how did you start?
I think one thing that made it easier to start in my case is that I came so long ago when there was much less tickets, much less customers. Everything was smaller back then. We didn't have so many tools. I definitely wasn't overwhelmed, to be honest, so that's a plus. But it always, I think, starts from mapping, from seeing what people are asking and just putting in front of you. So, for example, with a knowledge base, how a knowledge base starts existing is you basically take the most often queries of people and you want to answer to them with an article or with a video to deflect more questions like that in the future. So you start from the most pressing questions. If you see that people are constantly asking about the same thing, this is what has to be put in front of you. Okay, we need to answer this question, we need to answer that question. And then you build it from there. You basically create 10, 20 most important articles, and then you see if your customer support team is saving the time to just send them those articles without just repeating themselves all the time. Same with customer journey. Listen to what people are saying. If they bump on a roadblock all the time, if they want to install your product and they don't have the permissions, for example, or if something else is going wrong, you take any tool. Like I'm not big on tools, especially on expensive tools, because I think you can do it on pen and paper, do it on a whiteboard in a Zoom call with your colleagues. Just put it in front of them. Guys, we have these 3 roadblocks on a customer journey. Here's how we connect them. And here's how many people are falling off or dropping off from installing our product or adopting our product because of these roadblocks. And then you have already the most basic version of a customer journey, right? So then you bring it to, I'm also, yeah, of course, I'm lucky at my company that we're a relatively not very big team. We have 45 people in the company. So it's cozy and it's easy to reach out to the product team, to decision makers, to bring these insights out and discuss them and actually see the impact. It doesn't take a lot of bureaucracy or time to get something adopted. So definitely that helps. Yeah.
And what about the process of building the health scoring?
With health scoring, of course, it's a little bit more challenging. To be honest, when I started, I heavily based my health scoring system on the data from the product usage because in our case, lots of things depend on that. We have a product that is quite sticky, meaning that if you start using it, most likely you will continue. But if you haven't adopted it, if you see bad usage, then most likely people will abandon it because there's a certain threshold of complexity that has to be passed. So I based my health scoring, first of all, when I came to the customer success role, it was mostly mixed panel data that was a little bit underused before that. We collected a lot, but we didn't analyze it. And to that, I've added statistics from both HubSpot and Freshdesk on how active we communicate. Because sometimes you can communicate about problems and the communication can be maybe even a little bit like the customer is not super satisfied with everything, but it's sometimes much better than a silent account. So it was very important for me to mark those silent accounts separately and mark those that we communicate with effectively as well. We added statistics to that. And then basically just the third thing that, of course, I really believe that health scores are not perfect because, again, there's this human factor when you cannot measure certain types of sentiment, right? The health score can show you something really bad, but you know that, okay, this guy is just away on, I don't know, on a prolonged leave, and this is why the product is not used. Or the relationships is the most important thing, because I always try to treat the health score as the baseline, so we just know where we are at. But then the context that I can get from, again, my team members, support guys, sales guys, is always something additional that you can then add to the health score maybe, but it's not always the numbers in the health score.
I want to address the AI part because it's a topic that everybody speaks about it. And in my latest interactions with customer success, I got customer success people, I got different lenses on this topic. How do you leverage the AI in your day-to-day work? What are the use cases and how does it help you?
I think that maybe a very usual way to think about AI in customer support and customer success would be, let's replace our support with AI and just save a lot of money, and we will never have to hire anybody. And
Yeah,
fortunately,
yes, or let's
fortunately,
fire half of the team because now we have AI.
yeah, that's actually, for me, this is really terrible. We have a very lean team, support team, success team, and we have no plans on replacing people whatsoever with AI. But what we do is we try to enable them with the tools. Because in terms of replacement, we tried several tools to put them on top of our Fresh Desk, for example, and make it write the answers to the people, sourcing the knowledge from our knowledge base, all of our videos, all of our resources. It became a good draft for the support agent to have in front of them, but it never became something that gets automatically sent to the person, because
It simply isn't. I totally understand. Yeah.
yeah, especially in a more complex product, you need somebody to overview it. You need still a human there. What we use it for is for making customer-facing people more independent. We often are requested things like, give me a custom CSS to make this element look more beautiful, or give me some JavaScript code to, I don't know,
Yeah.
do some function on the website. And before, what happened is that we went to our engineers and we had to say, hey, can you please help me? I have no technical knowledge about this, so could you please write that for me? And it was challenging because developers are hired to develop, and engineers not always want to do support.
Yeah.
We did different systems. We tried to rotate people there. We tried to even hire somebody who would be solely dedicated to answering support. It doesn't work really well. People with engineer knowledge want to be engineers, don't want to be support people.
Exactly. I totally understand that because me also being on the marketing side of things, there are parts of marketing that require engineering when you build me a landing page or build me something or
Mhm.
let me do this or give me an SQL query that basically interrogates this for me and give me the export. And it was always like, you know what, I have more challenging part. Usually the marketing, the engineering part of the
Yeah,
marketing side, let's be honest, is boring and nobody wants to do it. So
yeah,
it always felt, you know what, it's a favor. I'm making you a favor. Okay.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was always in between tasks and between, if there are some story points remaining in the sprint, please also drag this small ticket that basically enables the whole marketing team.
yeah,
Indeed, now you do not need it anymore because those quick and dirty things can be solved by people who basically do not have the engineering
yeah,
background. Yeah, you basically became, as you said, more independent. And
yeah.
yeah,
Stronger, more independent, more self-reliable. That's amazing. And we just give more time to engineers to engineer their complex things that
exactly.
cannot be replaced. It's amazing. And just seeing how creatively people use AI on a daily basis to exactly empower them to do the task they couldn't do before is just completely amazing. Another thing What I personally use, and I know a few of my team members also do, is that we started to use AI for voice input. And basically, there are a few tools. I've tested things like Super Whisper. I now test a free tool called Pipit, I think. So it's a small tool that just allows you to not type the email, but just do the voice input on it. Before, it was pretty hard to use before AI because some of the words were not transcribed well. There was weird punctuation, but with AI, you can train it so that it describes your voice exactly as you want. You can create different styles on it, whether it's an email or whether it's something for your colleague. So I find myself using that a lot and just talking to my computer more because it's much faster than typing stuff in.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Looking back at 8 years of building, what's something you do completely different from day one?
I think not much, but to be honest, what I would do even earlier is try to implement in my team this more holistic view of customers. I think every company in its evolution, it comes from just answering the tickets and answering the requests of people post factum, like after something already happened. And then we start switching a bit more and more to how to give people the tools, how to ask them if everything's all right before they send a ticket or stuff like that. So there was this big switch for me that in my third year of tenure of when I was a leader of my team, I basically revamped the team from customer support formally to the name customer experience, include more of those things that we now know as customer success into the daily work. And I think I would want to do that even earlier if possible, because I find that to be motivating to the team. People, when they see a logical chain of events with every customer, how they bring revenue, how they renew, what are the cycles in sales and everything, they understand better what their impact is on the company. They see the results of their work versus just getting 1,000 of tickets every month and replying to them and not being interested on what's going on. I think that shift is very important. And as soon as we made that shift, I think we started being just more motivated as people in customers facing roles. And we started also what I would do earlier is to do those custom messages, video messages that I talked about before, being more personalized with people, giving a personal touch. We always did a lot of that. We never did templates. That's what I love about the team. We never made robotic responses, let's say, but even more customization, even more attention to what's happening in the company, and going from there would be what I would do if I could do it again. Yeah.
And if you had to rebuild a CS work from scratch with only 3 people, what would you prioritize first?
I've built it with a very small team, so I think that's how I built it actually. What I would prioritize first is to give people time to not answer every question with a custom answer, but just to create solutions that will help them to save a little bit of time to do other things. So my mentor, our CEO, Sami, always told me that, Oksana, I don't want you to, even when I was a support agent myself, when I just started in the company, I don't want you to just answer questions that you see for the first time. I want you to create articles. I want you to create tutorials immediately. So first I was like, oh my God, this is just an incredible amount of tutorials to make. And it seemed like a never-ending collection of questions. But when we created lots of them, we realized that people are just answering questions super fast. And some of the questions are just never being asked because people are going to the knowledge base and serving themselves. And if I had 3 people, I would be very interested about that because it's not a lot of resources. And I would much rather involve them into other types of tasks into some proactive outreach, into discussing the customer journey, into reproducing more complex issues that people have, suggesting things for new features for the roadmap. So that's always the more interesting part than just mechanically answering. So I definitely start from building a self-service system for the customer. Yeah.
You've built deep in one place and kept finding new problems to solve. Is there a mindset or a piece of advice, something that you learned the hard way that still shapes how you approach the work today?
I talk a lot about people and relationships here, and I think I'll talk about them again. It's both relationships with customers and relationships with internal colleagues of yours that are, for me, very valuable. I think the priority is to have people around you that know a lot of context, that are ready to answer customers and ready to support them. Having all of this knowledge is very hard to replace. When a new person comes, you can train them, of course, but there are several people in the company that still know the oldest bugs we had, the oldest cases that we have, and this gives them this irreplaceable experience, this context that they can just hear about something and they know what to do with that because they already encountered it. And it's the same with customers. Again, as I said, health scores and all of those tools are very good, but if the person trusts you, they are much more likely to tell you something is wrong beforehand, so you know how to project. They're much more likely to share some plans with you. So relationships with people, it's the biggest, I think, advantage of this job also. It's why I don't think it's going to be replaced by AI super soon. Because people want to talk to people, want to buy from people, want to renew with people. So I think that's the biggest part for me that I learned.
Oksana, this was a great conversation, and I really enjoyed getting into the practical side of building the CS infrastructure, what it actually takes, where to start, and what you do differently. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me.
And to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and mastering customer success.
Bye-bye.